Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you for joining me tonight here on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. My name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I'm your hostess this evening. And we were just listening to a song by tonight's guest, Standswithbear. It's called Sacred Breath. And some of you might have been thinking, man, she's letting that song go on and on a little bit there tonight. You know what? You're right. It is a little bit longer than what I normally intro with. However, we will find out a little bit more about that song and some other pieces by tonight's guests in addition to their work. And you'll find that the reason I did that is because that particular song for tonight's guest is a sort of prayer. It's like an opening prayer. It's a starting that they use for many of the things that they do. So I wanted to give it that full honoring tonight and to let it play all the way through. I welcome you whether you're returning to us or whether you're joining us for the very first time. By the way, we are streaming live in 3 additional places: TalkStream Live, StreamFinder, and Penn, which is also known as Para Encounters Network. And I welcome, everybody that's coming in through our podcast, iTunes, TuneIn.com, and through the YouTube version of the show as well. Here at Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, I look at different ways that compassion exists in our lives, how to remove our blocks, resistances, frustrations, and more. Some weeks I'm discussing different aspects of how compassion's in our life, how it affects our life, the different areas of compassion. I'm doing more exercises and practical implementations, and many times I do have guests on the show as well so that you can learn about how their work and other things complement and work with compassion. In addition to that, I highlight different musical artists along the way. I've had Grammy nominees Stephen Halpern and Peter Cater on the show, as well as also Jill Mattson, Clara Dean, and Bruce Ciccarelli, Craig Carollos, and Harold Grandstaff Moses, who have all been musician guests on our shows. And if you've missed those, you can certainly catch them in the archives as well. You can check that out through my website, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com. Just head on over to my page of the Main Street Universe tab, and you'll find all of those shows archived there. Now, in my own work, I focus on helping people find and use compassion in their everyday lives. I've created the Genesis Clearing Statement. I've authored 4 books, the most recent being You, Me, Life Dreams, and its companion workbook, as well as the first 2 books, Activating Compassion and its companion workbook. In addition, I've created the Compassion Tour, which I am currently on right now. That's a multi-state nationwide tour, including workshops, retreats, book signings, seminars, fundraising events. And you can follow a lot of the paid events on the tour through my event site, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge.eventbrite.com, and also through my webpage. If you just go to the events tab, you'll see everything listed there. And I'm currently on tour through the end of the year, which is really exciting. I'm getting ready to do an incredible event in nature tomorrow at Harney Peak in the Black Hills of South Dakota, which is, for anybody that knows about Harney Peak, I have to say, it has got some humongous spiritual, visionary energy to it. And it was a Lakota chief who received his first vision experience at Harney Peak. So really some exciting vortex energy out there that I'm looking forward to connecting with. And I just want to remind you that if you enjoy the show, make certain you share it with friends, family, put it out there on Facebook. It doesn't take much to click the share button. And I find there's always somebody that is interested in the show that's going on and very appreciative that they got to see it just because somebody shared it. And they can just use the same link to get into our live show that you use to get into our live show and listen to it at their convenience. And they can also go to my website as well. And so there's lots of options, the podcast, iTunes, TuneIn.com, and again, the YouTube channel there. And I just want to say tonight I'm broadcasting from Rosette, Wyoming, which some of you are like, huh, where? It's a very interesting little place. I'm staying at this great place called All Seasons RV Park. And this is one of those places that it reminds me a lot of my own roots. My roots, both of my parents came from farming families, and so it's a huge farming type of area out here in the plains of Wyoming. It's just about an hour and a half from the Black Hills region and west of the Black Hills, and just about a few minutes east of Gillette, Wyoming. But it's a small town. It's funny. You know you're headed into a small town area when somebody's giving you directions to get there, and they say, no, you just go down over the railroad tracks. On the right will be a school. The left will be a post office. Make a turn. Go about a mile down the road to this marker. But I have to say, here I take the word of compassion out to so many people and share that message. And I've been doing healing of glaciers and waters of the oceans and things like that along the way, in addition to my events. And the people here, I have to say, if you're ever passing through this area, stop by and see him. Olin, who is Swedish in his heritage, is just amazing. Matter of fact, he was so helpful and instrumental in me getting this show. I arrived, and I don't even want to know how hot it was. It just kind of reminded me of the old days of Arizona in summertime and the hot deserts. But his gratuity and his willingness to show compassion, he went above and beyond what I could ever imagine to help me get the show running out here tonight. So a huge thank you to them. And if you know people that are traveling, they like to camp, they like to be out in their RVs or anything like that, this is a great place to stop in, and the Black Hills area is amazing to get to see. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and he's got a great little thing that he lives by every day, and I wanted to share that. It's from an anonymous author, and it says, "This is the beginning of a new day. God has given me this day to use as I will. I can waste it or use it for good. What I do today is important because I'm exchanging a day of my life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever, leaving in its place something that I have traded, not a loss, good not evil, success not failure, in order that I shall not regret the price I paid for it." Pretty amazing little thought, and who would have imagined passing through these little towns and finding something like that here. Now, before we get started, those that know me do know that I like to delve into the 72 Names of God by Yehuda Berg. And I love Yehuda because he gets his stuff into everyday language for us. And the message that we have tonight for tonight's show, and this is, by the way, posted on my page of the Main Street Universe tab on my website, and you can go back and reflect on it every single week during the week if you'd like to reflect on the message for this. And this name of God that we have tonight is building bridges, okay? Building bridges. And this is amazing when I think it's just so perfect for our guest tonight. When our prayers go unanswered, when there is more darkness than light in our lives, when confusion reigns over order, there is one reason: we have severed our connection to the perfect realm of the upward world. The insight he goes on to give for this is one of the few names that can be pronounced in English. It sounds like Om or Om. It is the origin of the Om mantra chanted in spiritual systems of the East. A visual meditation upon these unique shapes generates the highest connection to the upper world. It creates a bridge between physical reality and the ultimate source of joy and fulfillment in the spiritual dimension. However, in building a bridge to the upper world, we must also build bridges with the people in our lives, friends and foes included. We must first repair some of the relationship in our lives. We cannot, and the meditation that Yehuda gives here tonight is, with the power of this name, you extend the hand of friendship to individuals with whom you're in conflict, even if they owe you money. You awaken compassion and summon the courage to pick up the phone and dial that person right now. And that means right now. Accordingly, a bridge to the upper world will be erected on your behalf. And I think that is so appropriate in so many ways to our guest tonight, because he's bridging worlds. we're going to be delving into some of his work that's related to starseeds and other things. And it's a huge bridge, what his work does for us. And a little thought before we head off on break tonight and get into our guest. How much does our DNA affect our thoughts, feelings, and patterns? Is it possible to change the coding that is embedded within our DNA? What happens when we try to adjust our personal coding? These days, there is more and more talk about coding our personal and global matrices, DNA, and its role not only in the physical, but also in our spiritual realm. It seems that more and more these days, people are stepping up and claiming their starseed associations. People lay claim to being part of ancient civilizations, as well as to other dimensions and planets. Perhaps it is our desire to be accepted or to have a sense of belonging to something. We are also discovering a little at a time that our DNA is beyond just our physical shell or packaging, but that certain facial features, body structures, and so on are actually connected to different interplanetary civilizations. Oftentimes, people are not just claiming one galactic family, but multiple. Sometimes I see this as another means for people to one-up each other, trying to place themselves with a certain level of evolvement, and yet with others, they are finally free to openly claim who they feel they really are. I find that understanding our starseed roots are much like understanding past lives. Preferences, thought patterns, and values seem to be starting points for learning about if we embrace ourselves more and more for who we are and where we come from, why would we change that? It's not really so much that we're looking to change it as much as we are looking to maximize how can it work in this dimension of life. Standswithbear is one person that delves into this very aspect, helping starseeds understand and accept openly who they are while working with DNA restructuring, and I should say holographic DNA restructuring. Here he works on a variety of things, not only specific with the individual, but also with the elevating the energy of the earth. In his work and research, he has managed to open the vortexes, so to say, of different cultures. He is truly an earth healer. Something that I really admire in his work is that he helps others to speak out about their starseed heritage and connections. He helps others get to know it and to honor the energy they have brought to this planet and to work through the many facets of their associated sense of purpose. I remember growing up, such things never would be talked about. However, now it is a way of identifying ourselves and others, much like saying we come from a certain country or region. How well do you feel do you have a starseed grouping that you feel you are a part of? Are you able to speak up and out openly about your starseed connection? This week our guest focuses on a component of compassion that's related to the aspect of my books of finding your truth. This reminds us that it's important to honor and be who you really are, to connect with yourself and not just what others have told you to be. I'm going to take a short break, and when we return, I will have Standswithbear with us, and he will be sharing his work in holographic DNA restructurization and being a starseed, as well as we're going to be bringing in some of his music. And the song I've got for you during our break is another song by him, and it is titled We Are Not Alone. And I'm going to go ahead and get that started, and we'll
there is no denying to ourselves we have been, to ourselves we have been lying, like lost sheep in a sea of wounds. Where do we turn? Accepting what we've heard, not what we see. When where we learn, all the gates they have closed. The point of no return has come and gone. Hear the voices in the wind, showing the way to a new dawn. I can see the pain behind us fall away like the rain. When we smile with one another and finally see we are the same, we are the same. I can see the pain behind us fall away like the rain. When we smile with one another, finally see we are the same. The hatred stops, love returns like the dove to its home. Eyes turned up to the heavens, knowing we're not alone. We're not alone.
And welcome back. You are listening to Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. My name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I'm your hostess this evening. You were just listening to a song by tonight's guest titled We Are Not Alone. And I would like to go ahead and bring on my guest tonight, who is Standswithbear. And Standswithbear has traveled the country extensively, utilizing his music, healings, and channelings to assist others in their growth, life, and reaching their true potentiality by serving as a channel of the Divine Brotherhood and many masters. Being of Cherokee descent and a fourth-generation shaman in his lineage, contributes to Standswithbear's many works and gifts of the Creator, as well as teachings from his star friends. They also taught him the very powerful technique of holographic DNA restructurization. Starseed Ambassador. He is a master empath, psychic extraordinaire, and powerful trans channel for high-level spiritual beings of the highest order of Christ consciousness, the angelics, elementals, and divine masters. And you can certainly learn more about his work at www.standswithbear.com. And I'm going to get his mic opened up. Standswithbear, it is such a pleasure to have you back on the show because we first connected a few months back when the Earth Goddess Rising Festival was going on, and you came on as part of one of, I think, 3 or 4 guests that were on that night. And we really connected because I also have some of the Cherokee heritage in my background, and we just kind of hit it off, I know, and I looked at your work and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to do a whole show. That's all there is.
Definitely. Well, Jesse, I am honored to be here. Thank you for having me on again. And, like I said before, after hearing that beautiful intro, I want to have a session from that guy. Okay, so, but, it's really great to be here again. And, before so much was coming out, it was like there's no way to fit it all in the short time span that we had to, when we were in the very first interview that we did. So this is really nice because it's more laid back. People are going to get a chance to hear some of my music that I do. And just a keynote, the flute guy is a great disguise. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that.
Well, absolutely. And I felt the same way. I'm like, I can't even begin to scratch the surface of what you do in 15 minutes. So there was no question. And your work, I feel, is so applicable to directions that we're headed. We're getting so much that comes up these days about starseeds or starseed families and all of these different aspects. We get a lot of things talking about DNA and our coding, and so we're definitely going to delve into that tonight, but I would love to have you start off with sharing a bit about, who is Standswithbear in the sense of, what got you into this work? What brought you on this journey that you're taking now?
I have to go back to the beginning. Well, in this life, anyway. I have a thing that's called out of chaos comes beauty. And what I mean by that is many people out there have had very tragic situations happen to them in their lives. And a lot of them continuously play that loop, and they think about that all the time, and it in a way cripples them instead of seeing it for what it is. It's like kind of a stepping stone, a catalyst to who you are today. And I had something very tragic happen when I was 3 years old. I won't go into detail, but basically my mom's babysitter at the time beat me pretty severely, almost died. And but I survived because I am a survivor and I'm Cherokee, and that's what we do. And so what happened was the extroverted child became the introvert. And in that place, I found my guides, my teachers, my mentors, and my star family. And they've been with me ever since. And they've guided me through many things in my life, got me out of more sticky wickets than I can ever count. And it just that sanctuary within that I went, My stepdad used to get mad at me, talking about how I was always in my dream world. Well, I like my dream world. It was funner than being in this world. So I was there often. But that's also where I met my guides and my teachers, my mentors, the angelics. And they've been with me throughout my entire life. And it's been like this progressive thing from 3 years old on. Of course, they let you have your reins and let you do what you need to do out there and experience life. We are human in this bodily function, these little popsicle suits, so to speak. But, each of us, we have our life that we came here to live as well. So no matter who we are, where we come from, that is a gift that was given to us to be able to be in these popsicle suits and kind of live that life that we're here to live. And so obviously, I kind of say sometimes that I've had like 3 lifetimes in this lifetime because there's been so much going on. It's like, I swear, Jess, if I try to put it in a book, they put it right on the fiction shelf. Nobody would believe it.
I feel like that sometimes, so I can relate to that. It's interesting you mentioned this experience coming in at 3 years old because some of the other posts I've made recently really connect how important that age range is, 3, 4, 5, because that is the age range where we've learned that it really affects our coding. It really affects.
Absolutely. Those are the definitive years when you begin to either be programmed or come out of the programming and recognize that, you're not exactly like everybody else. And that happens to a lot of starseed out there. The one thing I've done in my research and that I've seen with many, many different starseed that I've worked with is the same commonality of something tragic happened in their life when they were younger that catapulted them into what they're doing now. And I think it's that, it's to project us into what we'll be doing in the future. There's an old saying that great men of renown, great women of renown are not born of greatness. Rather, they have greatness thrust upon them, and they know what to do with that when it comes to them. When it comes to their table, they know how to deal with that. And that's what made them great. And I think each one of us have that potentiality. But like my star family has told me, which really blew me away, but kind of, when I thought about it, I'm like, I think they're pretty accurate about that. But they said about 99% of our history is false. They said that those who win the war write the stories. And they said that there are many from the past that tried to cover up their atrocities of the past, so they rewrote the history. And then they built the schools and the books and everything and indoctrinated us to believe that history that was fabricated. So it's a long story. That's like a whole other show. Okay. So, but knowing that, it in a sense sets you free, because you realize then it comes to the point of, I am a sovereign being of the universe. This is just another stronghold or just another faction or facet of the diamond that I am, just like all those out there. This life is simply another facet of who you are and who you're meant to be. So don't put yourself in a corner or put yourself in a little box and think, that's it. This is the summary of who I am. It doesn't get any better than that, because you couldn't be more wrong. Because there's so much more waiting for you out there if you just break out of that old paradigm and step into a more broad scope of reality.
Well, and I'm really glad that you brought up a point in there, too, about a lot of these key people have something thrust upon them, and it's how they deal with it that sets things apart, sets them apart in activating these energies, because you come from a strong lineage of shaman. I come from also a huge lineage of spiritual workers, advisors, healers, druidic practitioners, as well as other heritages.
Yes.
And that is not specific to how much you've lived through or how many generations you are into something. Whether you're the first generation or whether you're the 13th generation like I am, it doesn't really matter, because you're still going to get this experience that you personally have to come across. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I don't want people to feel like, oh, well, I can only get there, if I'm the fifth generation or whatever it is. This is something that happens for everybody. And I think one of the big questions, as I think about what you said too, you talk about connecting with your star families, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there going, how do I do that? How do I find my star family, and how do I know what I'm a part of?
For one thing, I'm going to tread lightly on this too, because I know you irritate a lot of my Native brothers and sisters out there. But people, we've got to stop playing the bigger, better, best tribe card. I have a song on one of my CDs, actually one I'm just now putting out, called In Love with My Ancestors, That's the name of the CD. But the name of the song is One People, One Tribe. And that's what I believe it should be and always has been. We're all related. I'm another you. You're another me. And we continuously alienate ourselves from each other, whether it be by race or religion or labor union. Or we're always finding these several factions to be able to divide ourselves, when actuality in the new paradigm, in the new world, if you will, it's about connectivity. And it's always been about connectivity. And we're returning to that connectivity. Now, I just spoke at the Angels and Aliens conference in Ohio about 6-7 months ago, and wonderful being I'm sure you guys have heard of. His name is Chief Golden Light Eagle, and he is the one that started these Star Knowledge conferences. I'm very honored. He asked me to actually speak at one of his conferences at some point, so I'm excited about that. But we had a panel of speakers there, and he pleaded with everyone, which I'm going to share what he said: stop calling them aliens. Stop that, because that alienates you from them, their family, and it should be treated as such. Okay? There are benign and there are malevolent beings out there, but quite more so malevolent, the good guys. So, and they've been here for a very long time. And when I asked them about that, I was talking to my star family about that because they communicate with me often. They thought that it was really interesting that we call them aliens. And I said, why is that? He goes, because we've been here far longer than any of you. So I thought that was hilarious because it's true. They have. They help seed multitudes of planets, not just this one. So for us to call them alien is ludicrous, because if anybody's that word, it would be us, right? So I was really taken back by what he said, and I took it wholly into my heart because it just felt right. And if you're wondering if you are that, homework, okay, some of the homework I have for you is one of the books that changed my life is by Brad Steiger, Steiger, Brad and Sherry Steiger, called Star People. And they actually have Star People 1 and Star People 2. And what's so fascinating about that book is a compilation of all the stories of star children and star beings and what they discover within themselves. But he took it to a whole different level. Inside the book, if you can find a good copy of it, is actually a characteristic chart to show that you have the characteristics of a star being. So I went through the whole chart, and I'm saying, okay, wouldn't it be cool if I get a couple things, right? Every single thing on that list fit 100%. Lower than normal body temperature, affinity with crystals and thunderstorms and, energies. And, there's this whole huge list. Feel your parents, whenever you're true parents. Boy, I got a real load with that with my mom. She's really angry at me because I was constantly asking her, you sure I wasn't adopted? I was in the operating room 20 hours with you. So, but it's just, to us, we're like, it's so surreal. We're like, you sure you're my parents? Because I don't, because many of us are going, how's that possible? Because many of the children are just incredibly intelligent. And I guess what it comes down to is you're at a different soul level. Who is at what soul level? Because you've been here many, 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 many lifetimes, and depending upon what you learned in that lifetime is what soul level you're at. Do you understand? See what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
That is why I'm quite sure many parents out there, especially with the children of today, which are afforded something that we were not. The older generations, we had to learn who we are. We had to go through the ropes and figure this whole thing out. Whereas they're coming in and they're fully self-realized. They hit the ground running. And they're ready to take off and, just can't wait to get out of this little tiny body that they're in so they can come and roar as a lion as they're supposed to be. And so I know that there's conversations, and you know who you are out there, where you'll be talking to your daughter or your son, and it'll be like okay, look, I'm the mom, you're the daughter. Okay, that's how it works. Mom, daughter, daughter, mom. Right? So there's conversations like that happening all the time because these kids are so off the chart brilliant that the parents can't even solve the math problems that are being given to them. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yes. There's so many things about the generations that are coming through that is this very evolved thing, and each one of them carrying very important roles or aspects to them has been my experience. We look at the indigos, and that's not an easy grouping to be a part of, I have to say, because their whole purpose in many ways has been somewhat of a destroyer aspect. They've been here to break down the old rigid structures so that something new can be created, so that the rainbows can come in and hit the ground running, because the rainbows don't have time to break it down.
Oh, it's much more. It's the indigos, it's the crystalline, it's the rainbow children. I'm hearing now through a very dear friend of ours, there's actually new children that are coming that are called the diamond, which, obviously they're the purity of the diamond, so I guess that's why they would be called that. I'm still researching that, and, can't wait to dig my teeth into that one because I want to see what's going on with that. But my theory on that, the diamonds that are coming in, are the hybrids. They're like cross between indigo, crystalline, rainbow. They're like almost like hybrid children that have like a little bit of each of that. So that's my theory. I don't know if that's true, but that's definitely a theory that I have. And I would abhor any of you parents out there that have these type of children that are complete prodigies, that are absolutely off the chain. Their intellectual capacity is just beyond ridiculous. You're just like scratching your head going, you're 4. I mean, really? How could you possibly know that? But, yeah, that actually happened with my daughter, too. That was a long story. But I would abhor that you don't treat them like you would, like, I guess, regular beings. They're like little grown-ups in tiny bodies, and they have their own mind, they have their own will, have an unbelievable amount of knowledge within them. And the one thing that I love when I have clients that I work with in that, when I find a family, parents that raise a star child the way it should be raised, allowing them to understand the magic, allowing them to understand that they have energies around them and they work with them all the time. And if the child, please, whatever you do, if your child says, oh, Mommy, I see these beautiful little fairies, or I see the lights around this person, or had a conversation with Uncle so-and-so at the end of the bed the other night that passed away like a week ago, do not tell them, oh, honey, it's just your imagination, because that does them a disservice rather than a service. Because the moment you do that, you speak into existence a little box of imagination that was not there before. So every time something out of the norm happens, they tuck it away in that little box of imagination. So by the time you become our age and become an adult, you're no longer accessible to the very gifts that the Creator born you with. Make sense?
Absolutely, it does. And I agree with that. And I think the ones that, particularly what I've seen with some of the rainbows and stuff, they're not messing around. And if they're not treated as adults, as equals, with respect, they're going to let you know. And they're going to take charge. So
absolutely.
I find that
like,
very...
follow or get out of the way.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
you already know the Cherokee way. You're Cherokee, right? So you already know our way is not to follow others' path. We bore a path for others to follow. That's just how the Cherokee way. And a lot of people don't understand. There are many Cherokee. There was an elder not that long ago that had spoken that he said that he has seen people that have 1/10 of Cherokee blood but are more native than a full blood. And so they don't base it upon the blood. It's based upon the substance of the person. That's how they base you being Cherokee. But there's kind of a tiff going on between the nations now, between full-bloods and not so full-bloods, which, according to this chief, he said that even if you have a drop of blood within you of Cherokee, you're Cherokee because the lineage is that strong. And I thought that was pretty profound, the words that he spoke.
This is important, and what you've been talking about as far as we need to look at things as a unity. I see so much division around the world. We're of this group, we're of this culture, we're of this belief system, we're of this race. And, it's always made me laugh when people do that when they, exercise this concept of division and separateness and greatness. And I'm thinking it's such a low vibration. And I'm thinking, is everybody missing the fact that all of these different groups come from one greater whole source? Am I the only person getting that piece or what? And then I met you and I'm like, yes, thank you. Somebody else gets that piece in there.
I know it's like the musical chairs of religion. When the music stops, I'll be this religion. So and people lose sight of the fact that how did it all start to begin with? You have one tribe, and they all were doing the same kind of thing. And then a couple of them said, I don't really like what they're doing here. Let's go over here and form our own thing. So they put their thing together, and they built quite a following. But then a couple of people from that said, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's go over here and do our own thing. So the next thing you know, after years of span of time, you got 50,000 different denominations all claiming their path and glory to the Creator. And the dichotomy is they're all right. Every single one of their paths leads to the Creator. So there has to be no separation anymore. The only way this world or the universe is going to become whole again is that two factions have to stop warring among themselves. Dark or light, it doesn't matter. It all comes from the love and light of God. Period.
I so agree, and that is the solution. That's part of why I chose compassion for my message, is to stop the judgment and to bring forth that unity. Now, you have a song, Standswithbear, called The Return, and it seems like now is an appropriate time for that. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can do that. Actually, you had mentioned earlier that, you're of Cherokee blood and different, descendants as well. And, like my beloved Light Star, she always calls me her Nelf, which is actually native elf, because I am a bit of a mischievous elf at times. But it's because I have a very strong Celtic lineage as well. So I'm German, Scot, Welsh, English, Irish, Nordic, and Cherokee. So I've got quite a few lineages in there. So I try to, keep them all happy at the same time. It's not easy. Okay. So this particular song that I did, I wanted to tap into, if you look in all the stories in the days of old of not just one, not just two, but every native tribe all have the stories of the sky people, all have the different stories of star beings that either worked with them or that they had contact with or that they had seen. I mean, there are stories throughout all the lineages of that. So I wanted to create a song that was representation of that had native flavor in it, but also combined with that, let's just say, not of this world. So when you hear the first, when the song starts, you can hear the giant mothership, because it sounds better when there's huge speakers, especially because there's a lot of subwoofers going. But you hear the mothership slowly coming in, and then it hovers. Then you hear the scout ship come down from it, land on the ground, and when you hear the flute come in, that's when these beautiful beings are actually walking the earth, and they're exploring their surroundings. And that's why it's called The Return.
Wonderful. Well, let's take a listen to that song, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Very good.
I just want to come in here. You are listening to Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, and that song was The Return. It's by tonight's guest, Standswithbear, and we've been talking about starseeds during the first part of the show this evening. And if you've missed any part of it, I do suggest that you go back and catch the archives for that part of it. Very, very interesting topics here. We're also sharing Standswithbear's music, and we're also getting ready to delve into some more aspects of his work. Now, another piece of what you do, Standswithbear, or another big emphasis of what you're bringing into this, and actually, before I start on that, let me do this. I know that you have an organization that you're a part of, started, that is related to starseeds and healing the earth.
Yes, I do.
Share with us what that is all about.
My beloved Light Star and myself are co-creators of Starseed Alliance International. You can go to starseedallianceinternational.com, and it's basically Starseed for Starseed. And the idea behind it initially was to, whenever we do events or anything like that, as far as like Starseed Alliance conferences or anything, our idealism behind it was to find the movers and shakers of the new world. Big respect to like Doreen Virtue and all the people like that are out there doing what they're doing. But to be honest, bottom line, this is a new world, and so there needs to be new energy, new life, new blood, so to speak, in the mix. And so what we do is we find these people that we believe are the movers and shakers in the new world and give a platform for them to be able to speak in front of an audience and talk about what they do. Because there's too many that are silent out there that are kind of, I call them little closet galactics, because they're still in the closet and, they're either afraid of coming out and showing people what they are, who they are, what they're capable of, or they've been programmed to the point of non-belief. I mean, to be honest, Jesse, what are the two most powerful words in the universe?
The two most popular words in the universe.
Most powerful words in the universe.
Most powerful words. You've got me. I'm not sure exactly.
The first one, obvious, love, the most powerful word. But the second might surprise you. Believe. Believe. Even Christ said, all these things you can do if you shall only believe. All these things you shall do even better than I if you shall believe. Thoughts become things. So it's important that people understand that true potentiality they have within themselves. And it's important that they understand every single thing that's happening in your life every single day. You're the director. You write the script. You write the scenario that's around you and the environment, situations. And this is your movie. And in your movie, if you don't like the way the script's going in your life, get rid of the script and write a new script. If you don't like the people that you cast in your life, then you hire a new cast. That's what I call the holographic universe, which means that at any given time, you can change the very scenarios of your life, but you have to believe. And that's one of the most poignant and most important things that you understand, that you have to believe. Because the moment you let doubt set in, your house of cards will tumble around you.
Yes, and we're always programming, and this leads into where I started to head, which is having you share about the holographic DNA restructurization or restructuring. And, people sometimes forget that belief part, or they've discounted belief as not knowing, or some of these different aspects to it. it's such a powerful aspect because those reflections we're always programming. It's just a matter of what we're programming along the way, and we forget that we're choosing it in every moment.
I let many of my clients know, when you look in the mirror every single day, you think that's you? Or is that the personification of who you chose to be in this little popsicle suit to do the things that you're here to do? All that created the heavens, the earth, the worlds, and the universes reside within you. The kingdom of heaven within you. The Creator lives within you. And you have the most incredible potentiality that you cannot even imagine. And earlier when I spoke of how important it was to teach the young starlings, our children, the correct way, whatever you do, parents, look for the signs. If they start getting depressed or anything like that and they're having a hard time with their people at school, because let's face it, children are brutal. And if you're different than them, they'll just really lay into you. The one mistake that we all make, I made it, several of my colleagues, friends have made it, and I try to stop them before that happens, is we dumb ourselves down. We dumb ourselves down so that we can blend and have friends and be with people and have people like us. But the problem with that is when you do that, it's really difficult to find your way back again. So I try to catch all those starseed before they do that and say, do not do that at all cost, because it robs you of a piece of yourself.
That is such an important point that you just made there. We do not want to dumb ourselves down, and so many times I see this in light workers and spiritual healers, that they do this to be more acceptable in society. And you and I were having a conversation about this before we started the show, and I was mentioning to you, I've had people say, well, maybe if you did something on astrology or a workshop on this, it would draw more people, or you could get into this shop or that shop with your work. And, what I realized is I'm not here to reinvent what people already know or to give them something that they're already comfortable with. I'm here to give them something new. I'm here to give them a different experience than what they already have. And I'm one of those people that oftentimes what comes out of my work is about 5 to 10 years ahead of my time. It's just a pattern that I've noticed. And I realize, no, those are not the classes I should be presenting, even though I could easily do courses in all of these individual pieces. I need to bring the new information out so that people will develop from what they already know. It's not about sitting in those comfy, cushy spaces.
To answer your question with that, first I apologize if you hear any thunder in the background. Apparently Thor and his buddies are having quite the good time in Valhalla tonight because there's a lot of thunder going on all at the same time, I think our star beings are just all hanging out with us here tonight. But with that said, you yourself have gone through the gambit. I see things about people sometimes, and you, for what you're doing now, Jesse, is nothing short of a miracle. Because you didn't give up like a lot of people did. You don't listen to what others think or what you should or should not be doing. It's like the one thing about Starborn and Starseed is we have this innate ability to see through the bull crap. Okay, that's the best way I can put it. We have this unique ability to see through all of the veils and illusions that everybody throw up in front of us and see right to the core of the situation. And that's why a lot of children, when they're growing up as starseed and star beings, They get in fights and different things like that because we can cut through all that stuff and see to the very heart and core of you. And people don't like that. It freaks them out. They don't know how to handle that when you can see the very depth within them in the inside. But that's an innate gift that we have. And it's not something that should be just pushed away and shoved in a little corner. Many of us, we didn't come here for kumbaya. We came here to roar as a lion. That's why we're here. And we came to shake the tree until everything falls out except that of sustainability and what we're here for, which is to bring in a new paradigm. That's why when we did the Starseed Alliance International, my beloved Lightstar and I, we realized that you can't continuously play the same tape over and over and over. I know you're old enough to know about what cassette is, 8 tracks, cassettes. What happens when you play your favorite song over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, it's going to wear out. It's going to...
Right. It wears out, and the tape will just snap, right? Same, too, with that paradigm. If you keep regurgitating the old knowledge over and over and over and over, it's just running circles. It's like a hamster on one of those little wheels running, I remember I did a festival here in Sedona where I was a special guest speaker at the Spirit Sings Festival. And the one thing I told the audience is, they try to take the old knowledge and they try to, spruce it up and go, oh, look, it's new knowledge, right? It's this sleek looking Ferrari that's on the stage and it's awesome. Like, woo, look at this Ferrari, it's amazing. But then when you pop the hood, it's like, is that duct tape? Really? Wire? That chicken wire? What is that, right? So it's like, it's like regurgitated knowledge. It's not new knowledge. The new world is about new thought, new vibration, new energy, new life, new inventions. New world is just that, new world. And, people ask, they go, well, Standswithbear, how do we get out of this mess that we're in, this huge, conglomerate of what we call the earth right now? And a lot of people are going towards, you see a lot of the rumors of wars and stuff going on and this whole ISIS thing and all this ridiculous stuff going on. And people are in fear and they don't know how we can get out of it. Well, it's very simple. You simply create a modality that other people will gravitate towards, one that's of sustainability, one that is of new inventions, new free energy. Just completely create a whole other model where everybody goes, wow, I want to do that. And then they just simply gravitate towards that. No fight, no war, no nothing, just a matter of choice. But the problem is nobody's given them that choice. And that's why we're here. We're here to give them that choice. We're here to show them that alternate reality, to show them there's more to them than just a little popsicle suit that they reside within. And that's what we do in our work.
And that choice is a huge thing. It's just like the message I read earlier, that is the philosophy or the foundation for the way the person lives their life that owns the RV park where I'm staying in tonight. And, we forget that we have that choice because we get so heavily programmed by so many things telling us what to do. And we have a lot of people out there who simply don't take the responsibility and make choices. Like they don't want the responsibility, so they don't want to make their own choices. But for me anyways, the only space of empowerment comes from making choices. That's where I get to the good stuff. That's where, that's where I open to all possibilities, is when I make a choice. And I tell people that all the time. You have a choice. You can stay in this situation that sucks, that you're being beaten, abused, and whatever else, or you can choose to get out of that situation.
And let's break that word down, responsibility. What is that? Simply the ability to respond. The ability to respond to any situation that comes your way. The ability to handle what comes your way. and to do it elegantly and quietly and profoundly. That's what responsibility is, the ability to respond. And a lot of people forget that. And there's a lot of people that, just really don't like having to deal with that whole responsibility thing. And unfortunately, we're not afforded that. Starseed has a lot of work to do here. There's a plan. I'll put it that there's definitely a plan. And as I said before, coming out of the old paradigm, it's hard because it's kind of like if you have a cat and you pull him off the couch really fast. What's the first thing he does? Digs his claws into the couch and doesn't want to let go. Well, that's what's going on with the old paradigm. Because in order to build a new world, the old one has to be torn down. And there's certain factions out there that don't like that. They like sitting on the little throne right where they're at and surveying all that they are and have the little minions all around them. They refuse to give that up. So you have to go gently, and that's why in order to be able to bring in the new world, you just simply create a whole new modality, a whole new situation where others just gravitate to that. Then they have no choice but to finally release, because sooner or later they're going to be very alone on a very alone planet because everybody else is doing this and they're still stuck in their little paradigm. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
And that's one of the things I do. I kind of go way out in the ballpark over here and way over there, but I always come back with that underlying foundation. Okay, so stick with me. It's a bumpy ride. Okay, so the holographic DNA restructurization that I do, that my star family taught me, ever since I was about 23 years old. Every birthday, they have me go away from everybody, and I kind of go in silence, and this energy hits my body and kind of rocks my body, and this light hits me, and all of a sudden I come out with a different ability I didn't have before. So this is one of the gifts that they gave me, kind of like a birthday present, very cool. And then they showed me why they gave me that gift, because it's a continuation of my work. This is the cool part. Many of us were in Atlantis. And many of us remember a lot of details about Atlantis. And when I was there, I was a geneticist officer, and I worked with genetics, and I was very good at it. So it cracks me up that I just saw a few months ago, I think it was on Facebook or something like that, and they were saying, scientists have now discovered that DNA can be literally changed through energy. And I'm like, duh. It's like Nostradamus. What, you didn't see that coming? But, that's how we roll. We're not stuck in the old paradigm. And when you raise your vibration, and that's the key thing that you asked me before, how do the starseed discover that, or how they find their own kind or whatever? It's by raising your vibration. And the higher you raise your vibration through meditation, through different foods you eat, through, there's many different modalities with that. But as you raise your vibration, you begin to attract others of like mind. Even Christ said, be not of unequally yoked. He was talking about energy, right?
That is so true right there. And that's a big piece that I think a lot of people don't like to look at, because the people around us are our reflection, and they're reflecting us. And if we have a whole bunch of low vibration people around us, either we're choosing to have them there, and we're choosing to hang out for one reason or another, whether that's to raise our self-esteem or confidence, or that is where we're at, and that's what we're projecting, and therefore that's what we're bringing in. And choices have to be made no matter what in that situation. So, we have to choose to step away from the people that are with the low vibrations, or we have to raise our own vibrations, or, see what's in there, or make that choice to, go find some other people of higher vibrations.
Well, there's no saying, if you want to know how to be rich, you hang out with rich people. If you want to know how to be starseed, you hang out with starseeds because they're all around you. There are billions of us here. So many that are here that have come in 4 different waves. And the last wave are the ones that are coming in now. And these children are, just you wait.
They're no BS.
They are so off the chart, intellectual, emotional, amazing, amazing beings. And you can look in their eyes and say, oh, you're not from here. Or literally be humbled because they look like a young master in a very tiny body. I've seen children that look like I just want to like bow to them like they're the Dalai Lama, you know, and I just look in their beautiful eyes and I say, welcome to Earth. I'm glad you made the trip, you know. And they just, and sometimes I speak my little elven tongue to them because, you know, we do a lot of star languages and stuff. It's pretty much the same as Christians when they do like speaking in tongues. Well, the star language, that's what we do. My beloved Light Star speaks like 14 different star languages and more coming. So sometimes I'll just speak Elven to the children, and their eyes light up, and I go, oh yeah, I haven't heard that language in forever. You know, so it's just such an amazing thing to witness, the smile on their face, because, you know, meanwhile the parents are going, what the, you know, but the child definitely recognizes the language, and they definitely recognize the energy of that. And that's why I'm telling you all, this little mundane, minuscule muggle life that you know, have been living, there's so much more to than just this place. So much more. In fact, Lightstar and myself have just embarked upon a little journey that we are now co-creating our healing gifts together and doing sessions with people where we're both working on them at the same time. So it's something really groundbreaking, and we've kind of joined forces. We always say wonder twin powers activate. And the sessions that we do, it's actually called activational co-creation therapy. So we use many different modalities with that. So you're going to find, okay, here's a prediction, within the next couple of years, you're going to start finding more and more star families coming together, more and more star families starting to, for lack of a better word, colonizing together, creating places of sustainability, living off of the grid, and working with energies. You know, we have a dream that one day we want to have a foundation where it's not kind of like, I don't know if you've seen the X-Men or anything like that, but kind of like a place that Professor Xavier has where we work with gifted children. I'm talking like throwing energy balls at each other and working with, you know, doing all the stuff that nobody can fathom. But, you know, we're stepping outside the box. That's it.
This is really becoming prevalent, too, because I'm seeing a lot of people separate from their earth or blood family and connecting with the starseed or the spiritual family in here. Standswithbear, I want to get another one of your songs in here, and this one is called Beneath My Wings, and then I'll have you share about this song when we come back from listening to it. We're talking with Standswithbear tonight, talking about starseeds, holographic DNA restructuring, and sharing his music. We'll be back in just a few minutes. welcome back. You are listening to Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, and my guest tonight is Standswithbear. We are sharing his work as a starseed, as doing holographic DNA restructuring, and his music, and that was a piece of his music right there, Beneath My Wings. Standswithbear, what is behind that piece? What's the story there?
Well, you know, every person I've worked, like I have my friend Patrick Doyle, who has the number one Native American internet radio station. If you just Google Native Radio, this is the first one that pops up. And he told me once, he said, I really love your stuff, but I have such a hard time categorizing it because it's so different. You know, there's a lot of really great players like Mary Youngblood and Carlos Nakai and some of my mentors out there. But my stuff is different. It's very eclectic because I want to take that of our starseed ancestry and kind of blend it with the native ancestry. And I remember I was nominated twice at the Native Music Awards for two of my songs, and Jay Nez, who is the head of that, is the one that sponsored me. He loved my music so much. And, in fact, the first song you played at the beginning of the night, Sacred Bet, was nominated for Best Instrumental of the Year. And he flat told me, he goes, I can't find a category to put you in, so I'm just going to make your own category. And so they coined me as Native Edge, which I thought was just really poignant because that just says it all, you know. I know a lot of the music that I do is a cross between my rock background because I've been a rock vocalist since I was in seventh grade, playing in several rock bands throughout my life, opening for the likes of Molly Hatchet, The Romantics, Black and Blue, Wasp, and the list goes on and on. But, yeah, it's weird when I look at pictures back in that time. It looks like a past life. But the influence behind it is definitely in a lot of my music. And that particular piece, the reason I did it that way, because I had a lot of friends of mine that were Native going, you need to do more like traditional stuff too, you know, some of the other stuff also. I'm like, you know, you're right. So that's what that was. That was my foray into that, you know, because I am definitely I'm not as traditional as probably a lot of them out there are. But it's because everything I do is through spirit. You know, everything, when I go in the studio, I just light some sage and say, okay, Father, what do we play? It's your music, what do we play? And everything that comes through right then and right there is what's on the CD. And it's been like that since I started doing my music.
Well, and you bring up such a great point with this is we're not necessarily meant to stay in the box. And especially as starseed, we aren't going to be in the box. We are creating our own aspects, our own dynamics, our own dimensions that we're bringing forward right now. And I think that's important. You can't worry about staying in that box. You need to get it out there. When you have something great, you have something great, period.
Everybody has their own signature. You just have to find it. I mean, if you hear a song from like the first three notes of Jimi Hendrix, you know it's Jimi Hendrix. If you hear the vocals of Jim Morrison from the Doors, you know that that's the Doors. Even if you've never heard them, you've heard of them, you automatically know who it is the minute you hear it play. Even like, like Van Halen. Like everybody has their own signature, and when you find that is an amazing and beautiful thing, because then that's when you're truly co-creating with the Creator, when you find that unique signature of who you are. Because remember, there's only one you in the whole of the universe. One you in your complete love, uniqueness, generosity, perfection, just one you. Nobody's like you, and you should own that. Drink of it like a fine wine. Accept it and receive it and be that. And don't care what others think, because it matters not. You're here to walk your walk. They're here to walk their walk. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. You made a contract a long time ago between you and the Creator, and that contract still remains between you and the Creator. You didn't have a bunch of ghostwriters working on that contract. It was you and the creator sat down and decided you came here to do what you came here to do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, it does. And I think that piece of owning who you are is so important, and I think that's gaining more and more importance these days, that we've got to be us, no matter what we're doing, whether we're doing our own thing in the world, whether we work for somebody else. It's got to be us. We've got to use our own style to be able to move forward and to thrive and to, bring forth our best each and every day.
Absolutely. And just to digress for a moment and take it back to what you'd asked me originally when I said that I was a geneticist at Atlantis, I tend to go off in many different directions because I'm multidimensional. So I got lots of things going on at the same time. But being that geneticist and that with my holographic DNA restructurization, one of the reasons we're here to talk about is what I do is literally when I'm working with a client, I raise up the holographic image of their DNA and I literally see it in front of me. It's like, it's hard to describe. It's like it becomes just as tangible to me as your door that you walk through or your table that you sit at. It's just like right in front of me, and I see it spinning around, and I just go in and I realign and reconnect, and I take away the debris that is not supposed to be there, pull you fully into your galactic self and the truth of who you are, erase the illusion of who you are, because, a lot of folks have been monkeying around with their DNA for a long time. So imagine, if you will, in one swift moment, all karma from this lifetime, your past lives, but more importantly, your ancestral lives, because it's just not fair that you should suffer the transgressions of your ancestors, are completely abolished in one shot. Now, I asked my guides about that, my star family. I go, well, what about karma? And they're like, well, you guys are the ones that invented it. And I was like, oh, that's right. Just like Catholicism, just like, being a Methodist, just like being Lutheran, we invented all that. None of that existed. It's like Christ walks around going, I'm a Christian. Buddha doesn't walk around going, I'm a Buddhist. So it's like the whole religiosity factor, and it all goes right back to the love and light of God. And so right now you're just being a bunch of middlemen being in that religiosity factor. That's one thing that used to irritate me because I'm a recovered Catholic. Yeah, I said it. I'm a recovered Catholic. And I remember I used to drive them crazy because I questioned everything. It's like, well, how come I got to talk to Saint so-and-so to Saint so-and-so to Saint so-and-so just to talk to God? Why can't I just talk to God? Whack! Quiet, blasphemous child. They didn't like that one bit. Or I said, if God said, thou shalt have no other gods before thee, how come we got all these statues in this place? You're whack! Quiet, blasphemous child. So, yeah, there was that. That was fun. But, we come up out of that primordial ooze, so to speak, and that's when you can breathe again. You step out of this 3D dogma, the 3D reality, and you step more into 5D, 9D. There's a lot of us that are rolling it like a 9D, and that's a whole different show. That's more like when you start realizing that there are more to you than just your five senses, because you still have your auric field, that has senses, and then you have your etheric field, and that also has different senses that you've yet to tap into. Oh, but that's another show. So, yeah.
That's true. And, I want to touch a little bit because I know the time just slips away on us and everything. We have a song that we're going to be closing out with, and I want to give you a chance. We're not quite to closing out, but I want to give you that opportunity to talk about that song and where it comes from or what's behind it, and that would be Break of Dawn.
Yes, and you want me to say something about it now, or?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Before I do that, Jesse, I just want to say something real quick, okay? I just kind of want to speak to your audience from the heart. I know that there are a lot of my star brothers and star sisters out there that feel trapped, you feel alone, you're still trying to figure out why you're different from others, you're still trying to figure out why your life doesn't make sense. I told you earlier, pick up that book by Brad Steiger called Star People. Another one that kind of brings things into focus is Celestine Prophecy, which is another fabulous book by James Redfield. The book is so powerful, it's sold 2.3 million copies in 3 months. So if that doesn't say it, I don't know what does. And so I know that you feel isolated at times, and unfortunately, mine and my star brothers and sisters have even exited out of this life, took their own life because they couldn't handle the pressure that was around them, because they didn't know how to deal, I mean, let's face it, it's just like having a kid. You know, there's no book that tells you, and no instruction book tells you how to raise your child, right? Just like there's no instruction book that tells you how to be a starseed. Well, that's what we're trying to change. That's one of the reasons I'm here, and many of my people that I work with, like my brother Ryan from Team Light. And if you look up Team Light, Google that, you'll see one of the things that we're all about. And every Sunday, like once a month, we have a panel of, you know, pretty much starseed experts that speak about different things that you call in your questions for, okay? So you want to be connected. You want to find others like yourself. A good place to start is with Team Light. And I'm very proud of my brother Ryan, love very much, because 4 to 5 years ago, he came out of the dark night of the soul, former Hollywood director, came out of all that whole drug scene and everything like that, broke out of all that, and within 4.5, 5 short years, you now have Team Light UK, Team Light China, Team Light Brazil, Team Light Estonia, Team Light Australia. It's global, and one person did that. One person. Now imagine if every single one of you stood up to be that, stood up in that beautiful light that you are. I promise you, if you do that, this is going to be a whole different world. And you're not going to be so alone anymore, and you're not alone to begin with, okay? So I just wanted to share that with all of you, tell you that you're very much loved, very much watched after. There are many beautiful beings that watch over you every single day. I can attest to that 100%. And so with that being said, the next song, this last song that we're doing called Break of Dawn, I'm really excited about this because my star family, they set upon me a mission to write a film score that's about an angelic war. They said, you will be doing the music, there will be another doing the movie. So the directors, if you're out there and, you know, some dings inside you going, hey, this will fit my movie perfectly, please get a hold of me. Okay. So it's called Break of Dawn, and this is the new stuff that I'm doing. It doesn't even have any flute in it, but I think you'll like it.
I agree, and we are going to be doing that at the very end of the show when we're ready to close out tonight. But in the meantime, we are kind of wrapping down to the you know, last part of the show here. Make sure that everybody knows how to contact you. And I know that you work with people from a distance, so they don't have to be living right in your area.
Yes.
And make sure that, you know, give us any kind of closing points that you would like to share with us.
Okay. First of all, you can contact me at standswithbear.com. All one word, standswithbear.com. That's my website. I do Skype sessions, phone sessions, in person if you're here in Sedona, because that's where I live in Sedona, Arizona, which is the spiritual capital of the New World, by the way. And, you know, this is a land of misfits, and I'm proud to be one of them. Okay. You want to see where a lot of starseed are? Come to Sedona. We're constantly having conversations in coffee shops of quantum physics, new realities, starseed, starfin. It's like commonality here. Okay? So, closing thought for all of you that are listening out there. If you be fairy, be that. If you be elven, be that. If you be starseed, be that, and don't give two damns what nobody else thinks. Because like I said earlier, you're here to walk your walk. The secret of the universe is 3 words. Follow your bliss. Because as long as you follow your bliss, you're following your heart. And the heart always speaks truth. The mind, the brain, so to speak, will confuse you. And just to give you just a quick little story, I love the old master stories. One day the heart and the mind, or the brain, got into an argument. The brain says, I should be the leader of the body. I allow them to think the great architectures that come into existence. I'm the one that allows the movement upon the earth so that they can roam freely and explore. So therefore, I should be the leader of the body. And the heart simply said, child, you do not understand. And the brain said, I understand fully. It is because of me we have the great inventions that we have, the great philosophy, the arts, the music, all these beautiful things that are brought to the world because of I, myself, the brain. So therefore, I should be the leader of the body. And the heart simply smiled and said, child, allow me to show you something. And he held his breath for 30 seconds. But suddenly the brain could not see. He could not hear. He lost mobility in the body. And just when he was about to gasp his last breath, the heart began to breathe again and simply said, so ends the lesson. So always speak through the heart. Before you come through anger, you traverse the energy through your heart and then speak. Because I promise you it's going to be a whole different thing. If you come from the mind or the head or the brain that confuses you, then your words and thoughts will also be confused. The heart center is that of everything that is. I told you before, the temple of the Creator is here. The kingdom of heaven here within you. And the Creator resides within you. That's why you're a co-creator with the Creator. You came here to roar as lions, not to be sheeple or slow-mo sapiens. And it is my hope that some of my words will inspire you to be more than you know that you can be and to share that with others. Because I promise you it'll become infectious. My love to all of you. Adonai, thank you.
Absolutely powerful message there. And, we have been talking with Standswithbear tonight, and I so appreciate your time and your sharing of your knowledge. And, as you mentioned, we could probably do many separate shows
right.
along the way on different pieces here because of that wealth of knowledge. And, it just really has been an honor to have you come back and join us in a full show of your own here. So, much, much gratitude to you, Standswithbear.
Thank you for having me on again, Jesse.
And if you've missed any part of the show, you will want to go back and listen to the archives and catch the rest of the show because we've been talking with Standswithbear. We've been talking about starseed things. We've been talking about holographic DNA restructuring, so many pieces, as well as learning about his music and the bridging of cultures and bringing in of unity that comes through his music. So definitely something to be shared and to go back to. Next week on the show, I will have Linda Gadbois, who will be sharing her work in crop circles and sacred geometry. And, my books are out there. They're available. Not only are they out there through my website, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com, but anybody who registers for a full 1 or 2 day event which I have going on over the next, from now through the end of the year. I'm on tour now. If you register before the end of this month, I am providing all 4 of my ebooks absolutely free. So that's quite a value. It's quite a way to, great way to take advantage of getting more information to grow by. I've got all of my events up for 2014 on my website, and it's got a list of where I'm going to be. And to give you an example, tomorrow I will be at Harney Peak in the Black Hills of South Dakota. From there, I will be moving on to Illinois, then into Connecticut. I'll be going into areas such as Pennsylvania, Maryland, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., so lots of choices to connect with me. I'll also be making a stop in Atlanta, Georgia, in that region, and San Antonio, Texas. And I'm still working on some possible options for Arizona. So, and then finishing out the year in Zion National Park in Utah. And I will be working on setting up events for 2015. So this is an amazing journey where I'm going around and I'm doing healing work for the earth in between the events that are going on. And there's some evening sessions. You can schedule private sessions with me while I'm on the road. And there are the full 1- and 2-day events. You can also check out my videos and different things like that I have going on. Connect with me, my blog, purchase my products, the services. All of those types of things can be done through my website, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com. There's also a great section on there for Main Street Universe where you can connect with all of our hosts and catch our upcoming shows as well as our archive shows for the entire network here and learn a little bit about the people that are behind Main Street Universe. And in addition, let's see, I mentioned my September special with signing up for any 1 or 2-day full weekend event and receive all 4 of the ebooks for free. And we've got all kinds of shows here on Main Street Universe, by the way, throughout the week. Sunday nights we have Darren Bouquet, who's a reader at Madame Laveau in New Orleans doing spiritual insights. Monday nights is Randy Goldberg doing Vedic astrology. Tuesdays nights we have Susan Weed, who is sharing her work in herbs and natural plants. Wednesday nights is our flagship show. Daniel, Janice is on there. They are bringing in wonderful guests. They sometimes do rituals over the air. They sometimes do readings over the air. Sometimes they're discussing topics. They do all kinds of things there. Thursdays, Queen Mother Amaku doing Wise Woman Renegade. And we may have some other people coming in from time to time, too, sharing their expertise and their work on the air. Fridays, we have right here, Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. And you're going to want to pay attention because we may be moving the time up on Friday. So it may not be quite at midnight anymore, but gradually I'm going to be trying some different time slots while I'm on tour here to see how those work out and to see how those do. So definitely stay on top of things through my website and check with me if you have any questions because that likely is to get shifted to some earlier time slots. But, hey, you can also always catch it in the archives. And then Kevin Baird also is on our network. He works with his Horizon Oracles Journeys deck, a deck that he created, and you can learn more about that deck at templeofgaia.com. So we have all kinds of things, and Kevin pops in and out through us, and you'll probably see him coming in on the weekends as well doing his work. This is Jessie Ann Nichols George. I want to thank you so much for being here tonight. And again, thank you to all of our listeners, not only on Blog Talk Radio, but also those that are streaming live through PEN, known as Pair Encounters Network, StreamFinder, TalkStream Live, as well as those catching our podcast at iTunes, TuneIn.com, and those catching the YouTube version of the show. I do look forward to seeing you back here next week as we delve more into activating compassion. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed the show this evening, share it with others. It's going to be available at the same link in our archives. And tonight, as we mentioned, we're going to be leaving you with a song by our guest, Standswithbear. It's called Break of Dawn. I hope you enjoy this. And until next week, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. May you enjoy the rest of your weekend and have an absolutely amazing week.